Yo, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we're joined by current professional hockey goaltender Chris Marsillo. Chris is currently playing professional hockey. His last stint was with the Elmira River Sharks in the Federal Prospects Hockey League this year. And he was also in the APHL, the American Premier Hockey League, with the Hudson Valley Vipers this year. But he's also spent time in the Fed with the Watertown Wolves, the Binghamton Black Bears, and the Northern Federals. But even before he joined the professional ranks, he played 3 years at Rutgers University in the ACHA and 2 years at SUNY Canton in the NCAA Division III. And even before that, he played junior hockey in the NSHL, the ATJHL, and the MetJHL. So I'm really excited to get you on, Chris. So welcome to the show, Chris Marsillo.
Appreciate it, Jack. Thanks for the introduction there, and great job with the show. And appreciate you taking the time to host us and others in the hockey community.
Yeah, of course. It's always fun learning about other people's backgrounds, like where they came from, like the adversity they face and how they got to the level that they got to. So like I'm really excited, and especially since you played in Watertown before, like I'm in Watertown now, like yeah, I'm excited to see how your time in Watertown was, as well as like the other places you played in the Fed.
Yeah, I'm glad to hop on here, and it's great to finally meet you. And I've seen that you've gotten to take your journey around the country as well, which is, some of the best memories that we'll look back on. And to see you in Watertown's really nice too, because that definitely holds a special spot in my heart.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a lot of fun getting to travel around the country to play the best sport in the world, the sport you grew up watching, and then you always had the passion to go pursue professional hockey journey and just to be able to do it. Like it's a blessing, and you can't take it for granted. So like it's good to talk to guys like you and just to see where your journey's taken you. So like to start, how old were you when you first started playing hockey, and like what made you really become a goaltender?
Yeah, it was a great memory from when I was really young, probably about that potty trained age. I remember getting a little hockey net. I think as a gift or a present from my grandparents. I believe it was a yellow net, and just around the same time, my dad also worked for Sports Channel, which I guess turned into Fox Sports News and all that during the transition. But he had tickets to Devils games, Islanders games, also basketball like the Nets and the Mets and Jets. So what we got to do when I was younger was get to go to Devils games. I believe even in '93. I'm a '92, and I think when I was 1 years old, I was at the Penguins Islanders playoff game. I believe that was a big one. I think that was one of the years the Islanders finally lost, or that was maybe the year that the Penguins went on to win the cup. I think they
Yeah.
eliminated the Islanders, or something like that. But either way, I've been around the game pretty much since birth, it seems like. And I really do remember being at the Skybox at the Devils games at the old Continental Airlines Arena. And I would get like a mini stick as a souvenir, and we would be in the Skybox, and I'd be under the sink just throwing like a little puck or a little object at me, trying to make save, like emulating or mimicking Brodeur at the time and the goalie. And I think that's just where it all kind of started, just being around the game, seeing it, loving the goalie mask, the pads, the sticks, the objects. I think just a lot of it was great for me. But from that age, I was just kind of throwing the puck at myself just out of nowhere. So it was just in me, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're just doing whatever it takes to make a save, whatever's thrown your way. Like that's awesome. And like the customization part of it, like you said, like that's probably honestly the coolest part about being a goalie is being able to customize your pads, your mask, like whatever it is. And like I remember like when I was younger, like I would like design pads, design like different masks, like just draw pictures of goalies, like something crazy like that, and like it's just
Oh,
weird looking back at it, and it's a funny memory to have.
It is. Looking back, drawing little masks in school, or when the Vaughn goalie gear customizer came out
Yeah.
and the Velocity ones and the V2s were out. I remember customizing those and just all that, and looking at masks, just so much about it. Uniforms, jerseys. I think so much about the game that I love is the visual side of it too,
Yeah.
and the too. So just when you go to a game, there's a lot happening. There's the hits, there's energy, it's fast, it's got good looks and good kits and sick unis. So I think it all plays into it and all the gear and stuff. So I think there's a lot to hockey to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're watching the games and everything. Like you mentioned Marty Brodeur, like was he like one of your like guys that you like emulated your game off of like when you were younger, like inspired, like I guess you could say like inspired you to be a goalie?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the first one that I remember. The Devils were the first team that I liked and loved. As I mentioned, I did get to see the Islanders too. So those were the two teams that I grew up watching. But just being a young kid living in New Jersey and just not knowing much, just seeing him and the Devils was awesome. And it's not even really like a front runner position either, because I was so young and it was right when they were turning good. And it was pretty cool timing just to see basically his career, go from start to finish as I
Yeah.
grew up. And I think that was a nice thing for me too, is because also just I saw some highlights the other day of one of the last rounds that they ended up beating a team. I don't even remember who it was, but he ended up, when he wore the Sherwood pads, and
Yeah.
I was like, man, that guy
A
played for
blast from the past.
so many decades, so many sets, and he always had the coolest looks. But it was interesting to see, like, it was a modern game, and he was still playing.
Yeah.
Uh, it was great.
Yeah. So did you throw in like the two pad sacks when you were playing, like especially now, like do you still have that old school style, or do you oh there we go, the Brodeur mask.
There it is. Hard to give this up.
That's awesome. Do you
Yeah,
still throw that two pad sack in your games?
I try not to now. I know goalies love the highlights, and it's fun to do all that. But as I got older and as the game got quicker, definitely less is more for me.
Yeah.
I definitely try not to. As much as I still have the flexibility and as fun as those saves are, no, I had to get it out.
Just
But
simple is better.
if we were just messing around playing some street hockey or anything, I'd be flopping it for sure. Probably still,
There,
you just now it's just all about the looks.
yeah, there you go. Sims. That's what I tell myself all the time. Simple is better. Don't have to make the crazy saves to make you look good. Like as long as you make the save, you look good anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like you said, you grew up in Jersey. So like what was like youth hockey growing up for you and just going through the Jersey organizations?
Yeah, for me, being in '92 in Jersey, that was a time where hockey was on the rise. Not as much of a developed market, but with the Devils coming up and coming on, and we had Jim Dowd, who was from Brick, New Jersey. He was one of the only guys who came out of Jersey at the time, and he really probably set the path for the next couple of decades. And I would say for me, I was lucky and fortunate to have started in roller hockey with a really good league where we ended up having the Van Riemsdykes and some other pros that were playing too. And just our neighborhood and our community was just really strong at hockey for some reason. It must just been having the Rangers being so good in '94 and the Devils in '95, and this hotbed of an area, just good hockey. So I think with the combination of having Jimmy Dowd and Brick and some good teams, I think it started to spark this area. And some of the AAA programs started to come online, and then more ice hockey programs developed, and my local rink was the Red Bank Armory, which was a state-of-the-art arena. You could eat off the floor. It was an old retired Army base, armory, which
Wow.
is cool. Really historic, all brick building, beautiful ice, beautiful layout. That was ran by Doug Brooks and Willie Brooks. Willie went on to play at Colgate and played a little bit pro after, and now he runs the Red Bank Generals, and they're affiliated now with the USHL Lumberjacks.
Yeah.
So that whole pipeline kind of started back in the 90s, and I was always that borderline BA kind of player, just kind of getting into it. As far as playing travel hockey, I ended up sticking with the Armory and the Generals until about my 18 year, and that's when the spring team started forming. So one of the coaches here had a team put together with a lot of the junior guys, and then that next year I played 18 AA with the Colonials, and then I was practicing with the New Jersey Titans in the junior Met at the time. It was the MJHL. They had been going to nationals. I think they were the runner-up and lost to the Atlanta team. I don't remember their name, but this Titans team was very strong. We also had the Hitmen in the area too, so I was trying to get involved with these teams. So then I did end up playing high school hockey and travel junior hockey with the Titans. And then that kind of transitioned from a 4-year freshman varsity player. We ended up winning our conference the last 3 out of 4 years.
There
We
you
ended
go.
up playoffs as a complete Cinderella story. Ended up having some of the most ridiculous upsets. Still to this day, wouldn't have bet any money on those. We ended up losing to this one team like by double digits, I feel like, the last game of the season. And then we ended up sneaking into the playoffs as the last seed, and we upset them. And then we kept going, and just what a story. And we ended up having some really good players from that team. And yeah, that was a great experience. And from there, I transitioned into junior hockey, and then I ended up getting some call ups to junior A. I had a couple minutes in the Eastern Junior Hockey League at the time with the Philly Revolution, and also the Philly Junior and Little Flyers in the Atlantic Junior Hockey League. So I didn't have much time there, but I did get a game in. I did win my game, which was nice, and that was against Laconia Leafs back in the day. Not much to shout out about, but definitely some excellent players on that team. And
Yeah.
no matter what, when you make a jump from B to A, it's always nice to progress and to do the job and to get it done. So it felt good there. And back to the Philly Revolution, I had an opportunity to play on the EJ team as my last year, but unfortunately, I had a cannabis incident, which had gotten me unfortunately cut from the team. I was not consuming during my time with the program, but there was an article that looked like I was involved in the wrong crew. So that ended up getting pushed up to management. And although I had a nice 1-1 tie against the Hitmen in the showcase, it didn't matter. So
Yeah.
I was then left to find a team last minute. So shout out to Charlie Penns of the Delaware Thunder. He helped get me onto the Lake George Fighting Spirit, which was the Northern States Hockey League. And that was a tier 3 league that kind of merged with AAU and the NA3. So about that level there with some D3 call ups and some ACHA commitments. So it was a solid league with, I'd say, your top heavy line or two, and then, your still your junior hockey
Yeah.
level, but probably where your top 2 or 3 teams would compete at a higher level, and then there might be a drop off. So that was a New York team, so I was able to commit to college from there. So that kind of, all full circle was my youth to college route there.
Yeah, that's like a great route to go, and like just how like you saw like the Jersey hockey organizations like grow, like because it started to get big when you were playing youth hockey, and then like I'm sure like it's a whole lot better now, especially with the Devils and like all the hockey that's been exposed over there now, and like I'm sure like it's great to see like that how it went from when you were playing to youth hockey to like where youth hockey is now in Jersey. So like that must be a pretty cool sign to just like see how much progress Jersey hockey has made.
Yeah, definitely great to see. It seems like every team I played on has a guy who ended up moving on to college or pro or the NHL. One of my first generals teams, we were able to have Yoki Ryan was on that team, so he ended up making it to the NHL, which was cool for our area and for our program, and that was awesome. And it was great to stay with him during his trajectory and help train him,
Yeah.
which was nice. Up going up to Dubuque in the USHL and played at Cornell, and then progressed to the NHL, and now he's back in his homeland in Sweden. So that's where he's playing in the SHL.
There we go. That's a cool path as well. But like obviously like youth hockey, like there's a ton of different memories that stand out for you, I'm sure. Especially like because youth hockey is all about having fun. So like what are some of your favorite memories that stick out to you?
Yeah, an easy one to look back on would have to be the Lake Placid trips we used to take, the Can-Am tournaments. I'm not sure if you were able to get out there. How about you? Were you up there ever?
Yeah, actually recently just went to Lake Placid, like maybe like yeah, I think it was last week with a couple teammates and their and his girlfriend. So we it was definitely a good time up there and good to see like the history of everything. And there was like a adult league going on in the Olympic ring, so like that was pretty cool to see and just experience like the Olympic Lake Placid style.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that any hockey player should definitely experience coming out of America.
Yeah.
Definitely great history, great environment. As a kid, that was probably the first like stadium arena I played in, so that was also really cool. First overhanging scoreboard, probably that was cool. Didn't know much at the time about the AD Olympics, but still was trying to learn, the importance and all those other years too, the 32 and
Yeah.
the other one as well, which is really cool. And just being able to be in that village and walk to the rink, and it's probably snowing the time that we were there for tournaments, so we would be ripping down the big hills and taking sled rides in between games. And there was a skills competition, and there was the TV package and all the pictures, and just a cool experience for a kid, and good for
Yeah.
me to look back and remember on.
Yeah, a lot of history has been made there. So it's cool to go back and like you see like the movie Miracle, like that's basically what was on, and like it's cool to just watch the movie and then actually go to the place where it all happened, like walk the village, like the strip area like that. It was super cool, and there's always something to do there.
Yeah, great spot, great memories. Keep remembering the kids with the crazy hats too. There was the hat store, and just you could do a whole episode just on Lake Placid tournament memories.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a great time, I'm sure. But then moving on to junior hockey a little bit here, like you said, you played junior B, and then you also got stints in junior A. So like, what has been like the biggest transition that you noticed going from junior B hockey to going up to junior A and being successful there?
Yeah, a lot of it is you know, putting yourself in a good situation, uh being ready for an opportunity, looking ahead. So if a player is considering playing juniors, uh if he doesn't know, this would be great advice, is to just, look ahead at leagues, see what the pipeline might look like, try to follow what teams are close to you, see where those coaches came from, just kind of do your research first. But as far as the play and jumping from travel to high school to juniors, definitely the off ice mentality is huge, and learning from older players and older coaches and camps. And you know I'm sure a player who's looking to make that jump at that age is doing research on small group sessions, and then from there you want to see where those players are coming from. But just always looking ahead and trying to put yourself in a better situation than you're already in. And then by playing with better competition and by being around better people, you'll just raise yourself. And then when you pair that with the nutrition and the mobility and the working out and being in the right place at the right time, I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's like what did you learn about like that making that jump and like the mental side of the game? Because that's huge, especially as a goalie, and just going into those games, like having to like you can't just go in with not doing any like mental preparation or anything like that. Like you definitely have to learn like what works and what doesn't for you. Like so, like what was some of those things that worked for you that didn't work for you before?
Yeah, definitely. I would say sticking around the mobility side, the dynamic side definitely helped. You know, warming up before games was just nice to get the body going through the motions, but also leading up to that during the week. A little bit harder back in the day with having access to game film, but
Yeah.
you could review, pro hockey and do what you can to try to visually read plays and get ahead of the game. And then by staying on the ice, I thought for me was, very useful. So I was always going to practices that were at levels higher than me. So when I was playing, 18s, I was trying to practice with the junior team. So what I think going back to that is, even if you're not at that level yet, asking if you can hop in for practice to, help the goalies rest a little bit in between
Yeah.
reps, to try to get on the radar for next year. That was very good. Definitely, I would say practice helps, but I would say watching professionals definitely helps. And, you know, watching goalies at the highest level, just trying to take similarities and add that into your game. And then kind of working with your goalie partner, your goalie coach, asking questions. I think a lot of that all helped me as well.
Yeah, I think that's huge, especially like you said, playing with guys that are better than you and at a higher level, because like it brings you to like a whole nother level that you didn't know you really had before, because you're facing like guys that are like similar level, and then you make that jump and you got to dial it in even more, and you got to give even more than you didn't know was possible. Like it's like same thing happened with me last year. Like I was in the Michigan Independence Hockey League, and then like I was also practicing in the AHL for the whole year. Like it's like obviously you're not at the AHL level, like but like just to be able to be up there, see what these guys are doing, what the goalies are doing every day, like it gives you a whole different perspective. And then like you like obviously they're sniping you, but you're also making them work for their goals. Like it's not like your first couple times like it's very easy for them to snipe you, but then like you work your way up and like you get used to everything. Like you eventually get used to their shots and everything, and you're actually making them work for their shots and their goals now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say this was a really nice year for me too. I was able to be asked to be the Devils practice goalie, which was really cool. So during my time, you get out there and the first shot or two or the first couple reps, you definitely need to get adjusted to. But
Yeah.
when you get in the rhythm and then you get invited back and then you keep coming back, then it's just like another day and they're just another group of guys. And then basically it's not about them beating you, it's about you beating yourself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the goal behind you is always going to be the same size and the same shape. And the only thing that is stopping the puck from going in is that space that you defend. So
Yeah.
pretty much, reading the play before it happens and learning the game is really, no matter what level you're at, the easiest way to bridge the gap, I'd say.
Yeah, like you hear about it like from like NHL goalies now that they're still learning every day and they're at the top level that you can get to, and they're not comfortable, they're not settling in, like they're learning every day about something new, about something about their positioning, something about their technique, like a new technique that comes out that could potentially make you stop a few more pucks. So like it's an everlasting like education, like you're learning something new every day, no matter what level you're at.
Absolutely. Definitely always learning, definitely always trying to prepare.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big issue we're seeing the last few years, but especially in these playoffs, is we're seeing a lot of these goalies get beat on that RVH play
Yeah.
where they're going down way too early. And I think a lot of that comes down to, I'm not going to just say this because I'm not in the position, but I think unfortunately it might just be bad goaltending coaching, because if you're, working with pro level goalies at the highest end level and this mistake keeps happening, that must mean that goaltending coaches from the top level down to the bottom are all teaching something incorrect. And if a goalie wasn't even taught that safe selection and just, you know, played goalie as they were taught, keep the puck in between your chest, stay up, keep your, your depth and use your size. Like these goalies are, minimum 5'11" and up. Saros is the only one that's 5'11", I think. Other than that, these guys shouldn't be getting picked uh with, this much room,
Yeah.
because it's the NHL. A guy's going to hit that much space. So
Yeah.
why are we, seeing the guys get paid $4 to $5 million a game to make these mistakes that, Johnny up the street wouldn't be making? So it's kind of, a question that makes me consider, what's happening at these, goaltending lessons and evaluations. Who
Yeah.
who really knows, goaltending? Because I'm sure you've been in situations where you'd like to get the call and, you've put the time in and you think, you'd be getting good work, and just someone's just going to make a decision based off of what they think, and they've never held a goalie stick, they've never played the net. And at the end of the day, that's a whole other, part of the game, is just dealing with people who don't know the position and just, stay in your lane and doing what you can.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because I was on like Instagram Reels or something. A reel came up and it was Henrik Lundqvist, the King, talking about how goalies are getting picked apart in the playoffs in that RVH from like the face-off dot, like, and he's like, why are you in that position from there? Like, all you have to do is hold your feet, and you already take away that much of the other space that they've been scoring at. So like it's definitely funny that you brought that up, and like I agree with that. Like, I mean, obviously, like you, like everyone sometimes makes the mistakes where you're in the RVH when you shouldn't be, but like it's just about learning and like having like that, like what's going on in your goalie lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah, and these guys are, shooting at shooter tutors since they're 5 years old. They're gonna hit, a
Yeah.
space like that. That is basically what, you're making yourself useless. So, you know, as a 3D person with gear and, knowing depth, I just don't think there's any room for it. I know it's easier said than done at that
Yeah,
speed.
there you go. So yeah, the RVH, like, it's definitely a problem in the NHL and everywhere, but like it's always a growing moment where hopefully guys learn from situations like that, especially like younger kids and younger goalies, like, and because it is such a tough position to be in the RVH. Like, there's only like a couple like scenarios where you should be in the RVH, and it's definitely overused, I would say, but like it's always like we're all doing, we're all still learning, we're all still trying to get it all right, so it's all you can do.
That's all you could do. And I think to make that point emphasize a little bit is watching yourself on video helps too,
Yeah,
and seeing how much net you actually do take, and seeing how much challenging uh really helps you and can, be a tool used in your favor. And doesn't matter how small or what age you're at, if you're at a certain point on the ice taking away that angle, that's definitely something that you want to be comfortable with within yourself. So seeing game film or practice film, or just even at home, whatever you can do, especially
yeah,
now in 2024, where a lot of devices in the home have a camera. I'd say a young goalie's dream right now is to be able to, break down his own footage. So definitely we
yeah.
could see a nice progression there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And like it's 2024, like there's so many different angles, so many different cameras, that so many different resources that you can use to watch your games and just figure out like why you got scored on here, like what can I do to take up more of the net, just stuff like that. Like if you really dive into it, you could change your game and help your game so much by just using those resources that are right in front of you within your fingertips.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as I'm very competitive and it's really all about wins for me,
Yeah,
another thing about just evolving as a person or a goalie is just to learn from your mistakes. And
yeah.
also, you know, you're either doing it all perfect, which no one's going to do, or you're going to have an opportunity to learn and just make sure that you now add that to your toolbox and don't make the same mistake or limit that.
Yeah, and I love that. And like this season, like one of my goalie partners this year, like that's all we would do is just like look at each other's like game. Like I saw like the way he played, and like when I went to Michigan to play, like he watched my games and he like knows like my games since from watching me in practice and everything like that. And like I know him from watching him in practice and watching him in games, and like we just bounce ideas off each other and just like try to like correct ourselves like when we see each other make a mistake, like whether it be like in a video after, like in the game, like we'll talk about it after, and like we'll spend like couple like an hour just talking about like stuff we could have done better and stuff like that, and just to try to grow both of our games. And it's good to have like a relationship with your goalie partner where you can do that and feel comfortable with just like critiquing like the games that you guys are playing in, because we all want to win, especially at this level. Like the wins is all that matters.
Yeah, that's for sure. Wins are all that matters. And on the other side, it's an art too. And
Yeah,
it's a combination of the art and the competition and the mental side and the equations and the math part of it. And also being able to have that outlet like a friend or a goalie coach or a goalie partner or a best friend who happens to be all three,
yeah,
just really helps as well. Like me myself growing up, I guess going back to that question about one of my favorite memories of growing up playing youth hockey is, to this day actually, is I ended up meeting my best friend as the other goalie partner from one of those Red Bank teams when we were on U16. And just, that was over 10 years ago. And to this day, we've
yeah,
said something to each other every day. And I would say 99% of those days, it's always about hockey or something else or something and hockey. So
Yeah.
it's all hockey, but it's also just bouncing off ideas to each other about, hey, do you see this and why would you do this, or seeing trends and then trying to utilize those trends towards your own game, and then sharing that.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's what it's all about. Like a great relationships made off of that. And it's cool to see that part as well as like living that part as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but I want to go on to your college hockey career a little bit here before we dive into your professional career. So you spent 2 years at SUNY Canton in NCAA Division III before playing the last 3 years in the ACHA with Rutgers University. So like overall, looking back at your college hockey experience, like what was that experience like, and what were some of the things you learned?
That was an amazing experience. One of my goals when I was a kid, and then as I got older, was just to play NCAA hockey. So to get to that position through juniors and to get to campus and to meet the guys at orientation, and then to be a part of a team that was coming together. What was cool about this opportunity was the team was transitioning from ACHA to Division III at this time. So they had played a mixed schedule the year before, and this was going to be the first season of just only D3 games. So I got to play in a lot of awesome SUNY games, SUNY arenas, excellent D3 other competitions, other conferences. My first start was against Hamilton, and that goalie, looking back, ended up now he's still on the coast, which was pretty cool. That's Evan, but Butata House or whatever you say,
Yeah,
but he's a great goalie. You
yeah,
know him?
Buenhouse. I think I had him on the podcast like earlier in the season.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I did catch that you did have him, and it was awesome to
Yeah,
see. I do have that memory, and that was the first arena that I played in as college, and that was the Gear Bay Arena. And growing up, Mighty Ducks was one of my favorite shows and teams as well, and him having that awesome mask and
yeah,
to get to that arena and to make a college hockey debut in that uh whole environment is just cool to look back on now too. And that was a nice opportunity.
yeah. That's huge. And like always, like it's always good going through the ranks and just like having that like that dream, like you said, you want to play NCAA division, or you want to play in the NCAA, which you end up being able to do. And like you said, they went from an ACHA team to a full D3 team that year. So like, what was it like those first 2 years of just that transition and getting into the NCAA Division III game?
Yeah, that was a great transition for me because I had gotten to that school in the SUNY conference with a beautiful arena with great hockey players, Canadians, players who came from the USHL or the NA or AAA, all from leagues that I hadn't played in or wasn't fortunate enough to get experience in, or from strong junior A teams. Overall, it was just like a great environment with everybody who's there, to get better,
Yeah,
but who had great experience already. So, as much as my experience was excellent, here's another group of guys who either played last year in the conference or transferred or played high level hockey. So, it was just nice to be in a nice, respectable group of players, but also who were welcoming, transfers and incoming freshmen, and just trying to build something.
yeah,
And that being said, it was also very competitive too, and nothing was guaranteed to me because I was brought in by an athletic director who didn't end up having any say with the team. He was at the time coaching, but they had brought in a new coach, so I had to earn my way onto the team. There was a goalie or two that I had to outperform who ended up sticking around for the ACHA team that they had. and then that put me with a group of two other elite goalies who played NCAA D3 the year before, who came from the NA and also came from the OJ and the CJ. So one with great tier 1 or tier 2 junior experience, and one with great Canadian experience. And the team already had those goalies, so team was comfortable and knew who they were, and it was me basically just kind of earning the right to be even in that locker room and on the same ice with that group, which was really a great experience. And then it led to just getting some trickle in time, or splitting some exhibition games. But as we saw the season progress, the teams that were already playing were just a step above. So there would be an opportunity for me to come in a third or halfway through the game and basically play all those awesome teams that I looked up to, or that I always dreamt of playing or playing
Yeah.
for, playing against. So really cool to be, put in a position where there was no pressure, and you get to just soak it up. Obviously there's pressure because you want to do the best, you want to steal the show, and you want to not give up anything or show that you belong. But at the end of the day, if you're coming into a 6-1 game, just get your reps, be a part
Yeah.
of it, and get better, and then 10 years later look back. So that's pretty much how it went. It was really cool to be with great players and go to packed arenas and travel to awesome environments.
Yeah, and like in situations like that, like you come in, the pressure's off because like it's already 6-1. Like you just got to go in, play your game, and just feel the puck and get those reps in, like you said, because no one's really gonna care like what you do because it's already a 6-1 game.
Exactly. And you keep playing, keep showing up, and then just keep that confidence going.
Yeah.
That experience is only going to help, whether that season or moving ahead, or however you want to use it, whether it's on or off the ice.
Yeah, exactly. So you played like 15 games throughout combined in those two seasons, and then you really get your big shot in playing a chunk of games in the ACHA with Rutgers the next 3 years, where you play like 30 games one season, 30 another, then like 25 the other years. Like, what was it about making that transfer to Rutgers and then really being able to settle in, get a lot of game time?
Yeah, what was nice about each season at SUNY Canton was that I always ended on a win, which kind of always helped me progress mentally and with confidence as well. So I knew that my first freshman year, I was given an opportunity to start right before the Christmas break. And I did end up getting that win, which was a great experience, great feeling. And I did get that opportunity because there were some injuries. And then as the second half of the season continued, both goalies were back, and I didn't get another shot, which that's how it goes. Or maybe if I did, it was some cleanup time. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it feels good to have ended on a winning note at a level that I worked very hard to get to.
Yeah.
So it felt good to at least have that D3 win under my belt, and then for the next year, a similar situation. Tough to get in playing time with the junior and senior, but same thing. I ended the season with a win against Southern New Hampshire, and it was great. Ended the season on that note, and was told basically for the next year that it wouldn't be a good situation. So I was living in New York at the time, so I did have the in-state tuition and whatever academic help I had. But it seemed like the next move for me was to go find an opportunity to transfer. And I think Rutgers back in New Jersey was the best opportunity because I had known that coach from that spring team back in the day, and he had also let me practice with them for a year or two when I was playing juniors. When I was playing on the little flyers and junior flyers, when that season ended for me, I was able to hop in and be the practice goalie at the college level. So even that helped too, playing with some older guys that came from junior hockey. And I guess full circle, uh, I had a great opportunity to then go earn another spot at Rutgers. They had recruited some goalies, and I had to earn my time through making the team through tryouts. And then they started the goalie that was recruited. Things didn't go well for him in the first game. So I ended up coming in, and I either came in and just didn't give up anything, but we didn't lose, or I came in and we came back and we won. I can't remember, but either way, I got to start the next game, and the rest was history. Had a nice win there. Then we kept the season going. We were in a really strong ACHA conference with out of the top 25 teams that compete with nationals. I would say at least probably 5 or 10 weren't out of our conference. So we were pretty much with all the big dogs, the Liberties, the Stony Brooks, the URIs, the Delawares. I can't remember who else was solid back then, but basically any team on the East Coast that was legit or that had legit players, we were playing, and we had a strong team too. And I came in that year and complimented the team well, and had some really nice wins, and we ended up being ranked throughout the season.
There you go.
Pulled off nice wins. Ended up making it to playoffs as well, and then there was just really no reason for me not to play every game with how it was going. And then the next year, same thing. And then with eligibility, I was able to play a third year. So I snuck 5 years out and was selected to Team USA for the World University Games, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah, what was that experience like in being selected to represent the US in the university games?
That was awesome. We had a great team selected of a lot of players from out west. There was only one player from the East Coast, James or JT Hall. He ended up playing at Stony Brook, and then he ended up getting some SP games as well. But then other than that, I was the only East Coast guy taken. And we put a team together that got this exhibition game against Holy Cross, which was D1. So out of all of this experience, I got to play D3 games, ACHA games, Team USA, and a D1 game as well. So really got my money's worth and 5 years. So it's
Yeah.
I don't think I really could have wrote or dreamt of a better college career for the cards and hand I dealt myself.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're able to push through for 5 years and put up an incredible college career where you saw literally everything from D3 games, ACHA, university games for Team USA, and then obviously play a D1 game as well. Like that's pretty historical and like a storybook of a college career for you.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And when we were Team USA, the team went out to Kazakhstan, and we had 3 goalies for that. So I was one of the 3, and we had played some exhibition games as well. One of them was a game against the EHL All Stars, which I think I either shut out or we won 2-1, something very low scoring, which was just a
Yeah.
nice
Cherry
little
on
way.
top.
Yeah, it was good because even looking back, that EHL is what the EJHL, I guess, and the AHL, whatever, they all merged, and that was the league that I had, tried to play in, and mentioned I was disqualified from. So to go back
Yeah.
and wear the USA jersey and actually win against that league's all-star team was just a nice full circle too.
Yeah, that's sick and like a great experience. And then after that college career came to an end, you were able to go pro in the at the time it was the Federal Hockey League with the Northern Federals. Like what was that experience like in getting your first taste in the Fed and like how did that opportunity come up?
Yeah, that was a unique opportunity. I remember sitting in the back of economics class in college and finding the Fed website, and I forgot who I was looking up or who I was following. It's probably Nick Needert or something, or Shavo. It was probably one of those two guys. And I just remember seeing, I think a goalie or two had played uh, in the ACHA or something the year before, and he was on Watertown, and they were the closest team to me. And uh, I was going back and forth with some friends who lived in New York, so I kind of was familiar. So I just reached out and tried to get involved, and something had happened where they, had me on their radar, but uh, that season, the Northern Federals were born at the end of the year because Cornwall had folded, and last minute, the team didn't want to, I guess, collapse or whatever happened with the fans. They had to get a team going, finish out the season. So, I guess whatever players were around or could help,
Yeah.
they got together, and I had missed a week or two of that, and then I had gotten the chance to make a game against Watertown in a snowstorm. It was like, I don't think anyone else even would have gone. I was probably the only one that was fucking stupid enough to go. And I drove like 7 hours through a snowstorm like this, and I remember getting there for puck drop, and it was awesome. It was against a good team who I remember following at the time, and I saw that they were, going to be a tough opponent. I didn't know who any of the players were, but I remember studying the league and always looking at the website and just recognized all these players' names. Couldn't really believe it that I was actually playing there at that level, and got to go in, and it was a shit show. But I got a lot of shots, and there was definitely a lot of goals, but it was not a winnable situation, and
Yeah.
it was a cool experience for me. But same thing to this day. There's people on that team that I'll still talk to and still mess around with, or guys that are still playing in the league from that team. We're doing really well, and I had gotten to play against some guys that are still, winning championships from that team, or that had progressed to higher levels, or other players that are just doing great things. So it was cool to meet great players, but also the fan interaction. There weren't many college team or arenas that I was used to playing in that, whereas full or packed like
Yeah.
Watertown. That was pretty awesome. And that experience was just great. I like to win, but if I couldn't win, it was just a great, takeaway. And then that kind of transitioned into what was next.
Yeah. Yeah. And like in those like non-winnable situations, like it makes you stronger because like you mentally got to be ready for it. And like when it happens, like and like after the game, like you're so mentally like prepared and everything, like it helps you mentally. And then you go into the next game, the next season, whatever it is, and you're like, I already faced like a super unwinnable situation, and I made it past that. So you're able to like overcome that obstacle, that adversity that you face right from the get-go.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. You keep a nice, tough competitive baseline, and then just kind of it's the way you look at it.
Yeah, exactly. But then the following year, you played 5 games with the Watertown Wolves, where you also had a couple stints after that with the Watertown Wolves as well in 2019-20, and then 21-22 as well. So like what was Watertown like for you, and just like how special was it for you since you've played there multiple times throughout your career so far?
Yeah, it was awesome. I got the invite the next year to training camp, and I had been following this goalie who I saw making a come up from the WHL at the time, and he ended up finding his way to Watertown. And his name was Cody Porter,
Yeah.
and there was another goalie too that year. I can't remember, but I remember he was one of the goalies, and we were at training camp, or maybe he got there at the end of training camp. Maybe something happened where he came down, and then that's when I ended up leaving because he came down. and then they ended up keeping him around. He earned his spot. He ended up taking them on a nice win streak, and I believe he got called up that year around Christmas or December, and that was the opportunity that then opened the door for me. So I had gotten called up, and fortunate for me, I had gotten a game against Mender Icebreakers, who was in our building at the time, and we had a solid team that was going through some injuries, but that was one of the last games that we had a solid unit with. We won that game, and then we had some injuries and some call-ups that weekend, and I got to stick around for another maybe 2 or 3 weekends or so. And I'd say that we lost a lot of one-goal games against Elmira, who at the time went to the finals, and we lost to Carolina in a one-goal game, who went to the finals, and they ended up winning. So I was playing great teams with a struggling, thin team myself, and just kind of thrown into it. So I went 1-4 on that stretch, and we took a really, really light team down to Carolina, and we just got embarrassed, and that was it. I ended up sleeping on the floor that night and getting sent out. Basically, that's how it goes. So the next day, somebody was, in my room and whatever, and my shit was packed, and that's it. So definitely a great memory. Played in another packed barn down in Carolina, met some great friends. Gavin Yates, he just won a ship and was
Yeah.
the most valuable player of the playoffs. Him and I were on that Watertown team, and I've got a nice memory with him winning that game. Ended up finding a newspaper the next day with like Marsillo and Yates lead Wolves to victory or something like that. And
There we go. That's pretty
I'll
cool.
I'll always keep that picture I just found. And he was just a great guy and still is. And it's cool memories like that that
Yeah.
are timeless.
Yeah. Like times like that is like sometimes things aren't gonna go 100% right or 100% what you want, but like just to find those memories where like that stick out and like you're like those were good times, like those are memories that like you're gonna remember forever, and like all the adversity you faced and everything like that, like you overcame a bunch of those obstacles, and you just have memories because you overcame those. So like you can't say anything bad about it because like you overcame those obstacles and you came up on top at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And looking back on it too, just you'll have a long practice and a long road trip, and you'll have these guys that are just around and your friends, and you just love each other, and you just love getting, some time to spend after grinding it out and just relaxing. And looking back on it now, those are great memories, and
Yeah.
hitting those guys up, and you might not even have words to say. You might just be throwing DMs of like funny videos back and forth,
Yeah.
like, and just building those relationships, walking across the street in the foot of snow just to hang out. And like at the end of the day, I went 1-5, but the memories and the friends and all the friggin' experiences definitely mean a lot more than just a record.
Yeah, exactly. And like you got more time in games after that. You played in Binghamton for a game, and then you also went back to Watertown in 21-22, playing 3 games there, and then you also got to play a game this season in Elmira. So like what were those experiences with Binghamton, going back to Watertown, then playing in Elmira this season?
Yeah, that was a cool experience. After Watertown, I was able to be invited to main camp with Watertown. The first year Binghamton had a team. So I ended up going to camp, and it was Hussey and Colgan, who also played ACHA. Him
Yeah.
and I used to play against each other a lot. He was with Westchester. and I was at Rutgers at the time. And he also was the goalie back in the day when I was on that junior Flyers team. He was on the B team as a really young goalie, kind of doing what we were talking about,
Yeah.
practicing the older guys, just trying to get his foot in the door. And like same thing, just a great memory of like just being goalies, having fun, and like that was like 20 years ago. It feels like so just timeless how like cool stuff is and how of a small community it is. And
Yeah.
so we ended up being at camp together, and they didn't make room for me, although I won my exhibition game. So again, I went out on a win, which was a good feeling. And then I got called back, I believe at the middle of the year to join them when there was an injury or a move. And I ended up playing 3 games that season. It was all 3 in Carolina. So it was a little redemption shot at how that shit show went the first time. So I get down there, and we're winning, and there's probably about a minute or 2 left, and someone just says something stupid to our defenseman, and unfortunately he took a dumb retaliation penalty, and we had to kill that one with a minute left and a pulled goalie, so 6-on-4. So they sent that one to overtime, and then ended up losing in a shootout to the player who had the most points that year. So that we went down the first game. Then the next game ended up being that historic shit show where the coaches were fighting and the goalies were brawling. That was
Yeah.
that mess. And I ended up getting thrown back into that one. We almost came back. I think we ended up making it like 5-4 or something. So that one was a straight up L. And then we pulled out a win the last night, which was nice. So a lot of fucking crazy action for whatever it was, a 3-game weekend, but that was basically a season's worth. And then that was it for me. And I believe the next season is when or so they ended up winning the finals, which was cool. So I was a part of a winning team. And then the next year Binghamton brought me in for camp, or might have been the same year. I don't remember what happened, but either way, I was at the beginning of the year with Binghamton for camp. I had gotten in trouble for some off ice stuff that shouldn't have gotten me in trouble, but whatever. And I ended up getting tossed from them, and then I got invited back in the end of the season to either play a game for them or to play a game for Carolina. I can't even remember how it went. I can't remember. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I played a little bit with them during that year. I can't remember exactly how it went. I think that was just some cleanup time. And then I think Carolina at the end of the year needed a goalie, so I played a game for them in Binghamton, which was a cool full circle moment, but
Yeah.
couldn't get it.
Hey, it's all about the memories and just like all the experiences that you're going through, and just like it, like even though it could be a shit show, like those are sometimes the best memories that you make.
Still, yeah, I'll always remember them, and funny little stories in between and interactions and stuff that I'll always keep.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have a couple more questions before we wrap things up here. But you played for the newly formed Union Hockey League, or the American Premier Hockey League, with the Hudson Valley Vipers for a little bit. So like, what was what was your experience in Hudson Valley? And because I've heard that, like you said earlier, like the arena was packed, and like you got so much fan support there.
Yeah, it was really awesome. That was a cool opportunity for me because this season I wasn't playing in any games at the time. I had been the Devils practice goalie since maybe November. So I was getting consistent daily reps, but I was looking for games. And that had ended up being the first ice opportunity I got. I was still playing a lot of roller hockey as well. But getting to play in that was really great because I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that a lot of players were going up and down between the Fed and this league. So I figured, all right, still an opportunity for me to play. Still going to be an opportunity to play against guys that are hungry or that came from a quality of hockey pretty recently. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's just check it out. I don't know how it's going to be, and I got there, and uh, it was awesome. There was players that had freshly come from the Fed, guys that I had known that were playing in the SP the season before. I thought the quality of hockey was going to be a lot lower than what it was from our team's perspective. So when I showed up for the first game, we had more players that weren't there at practice, and it just raised the level of the team. The team was already solid, and then I showed up, and there was SUNY guys, SP guys, Fed guys. I was like, all right, this is going to be fun. Like, we all are just living our life, and here's an opportunity. But what was cool is at the other end, one of their goalies, he was a Danbury goalie the year before, so he had just won the cup as the third goalie. He was behind Frankie and behind Brian, but he came from D3. So I was like, all right, I'm in the right spot, playing with guys that are good and came from good hockey. And we ended up having a good battle against them and snuck out like a 6-4 game. And he made a ton of saves. I made a ton of saves. And what was awesome is that they had Fed guys, we had Fed guys, but we had a full pack barn.
Yeah.
And like it was a win too. So I worked real hard all year, and was looking for a game opportunity, and ended up getting one against a legit competitor. And I was thinking about this last night, is like, as a goalie, you like to compare, but you're not competing against the other goalie because he's not
Yeah.
shooting up. You're just competing against yourself, and players of the other team are just, scenarios. So, it's all about competing and, playing against yourself pretty much. And
Yeah.
I think I've learned a lot of that too from that experience, and, playing in front of awesome fans who appreciate me and, enjoy watching us perform and, show up on their time. It is awesome all around.
Yeah. That's a great experience. And like, it doesn't matter what level it's at. If you're a fan, the fans are supportive, like it makes the hockey and just being there so much better.
It does. Cause I've always wanted that opportunity to be, a steady goalie, with a great fan base.
Yeah.
Just, maybe selfishly or ego wise, just a cool opportunity to be. And they gave me that opportunity, and I'll love them and love that opportunity, and I'll grow from that too. It honestly felt like just being in a band performing, and it was
Yeah.
fun. And you're there because they want to be there, and they're giving you an opportunity to play hockey in front of them. So I try to, keep them engaged too while still being focused. But I knew, I was very focused, but still, like, I'd be loose. I'd be,
Yeah.
keeping them engaged on the boards and stuff, and you know having a
Yeah.
good interactive time.
Yeah, that's sick. That's awesome. Unreal. But I think that's a perfect place to wrap this episode up. But Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck going forward with your career.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. This was a great time. Thanks for letting me talk, and I like hearing your story too, and we'll definitely catch up more.